Good morning, dear friends. This is the Wednesday evening program at the Empty Cloud Monastery in New Jersey. I am Bhikkhuni Ayyā Sobhana. The sutta for tonight is a very lovable one called the Cetanākaraṇīyasutta, which is literally, you could say, wishes that are to be done, or intentions that should be done. We can come right into it, beginning with giving respect to the Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Buddham dhammang sanghang saranang gacchami. I go for refuge to the Buddha, the Dhamma, and the Sangha. So those who are watching by way of Facebook or the live stream on the YouTube, I welcome you to put your questions into the live stream chat. And even if you don't have a question, welcome to put in your greeting so that I will know that you're here. My old friends back in California tell me that they're watching, but they don't seem to have picked up the knack of commenting and getting in the discussion with the comments. So there's a space for comments in the live stream, and I will see those and respond to them later on. For the past couple of weeks and going forward for the coming months, I have personally decided to focus on the threefold gradual training, which is given by the Buddha as the way to the path for awakening, and which is divided into the three sections of sila, or ethics, samadhi, meditation, and panya, wisdom. One of the suttas that we studied last week, I think, was the Subha Sutta. That was number 10 in the Digha Nikaya. And there was one sentence in that sutta that struck me very powerfully. That sutta gives the beautiful similes for abandoning the 5 hindrances, that when that's done, one may regard it as freedom from debt, good health, release from prison, emancipation, and a place of sanctuary at last. And they should feel joyful at realizing that the hindrances are given up. Then it says, seeing that the hindrances have been given up in them, joy springs up. Joy is called pamoja, which is related to the word mudita. That's one of the divine abidings. Mudita is rejoicing in the good fortune of others. So pamoja is sometimes translated as gladness. It's gladness which is preliminary to entering into meditation. Then being joyful, rapture springs up. The rapture is called piti in the Pali language. I prefer to translate pamoja as gladness, and I translate piti as a joyful interest. we were talking earlier how if something terrible came along or something that was promoting negative obsessions, sometimes the mind can become locked into an object. So if I see a bear, I will be very focused on the bear to see what it's going to do. But in this case, it's positive, wholesome, not associated with any kind of danger of sensual craving or any kind of danger of fear or hatred. But it is a strong interest. I compare it to if you happen to wake up during the night and a friendly deva or an angel was there in your room with you, you wouldn't be able to stop looking. You would be so amazed in a joyful way. And when the mind is full of joyful interest, the body becomes tranquil. So any pain or tension in the body that's secondary to the hindrances of the negative states of mind is completely wiped out. And any distraction that one might feel because of the physical aches and pains in the body or because of the physical tiredness of the body would all be fall to the background and not be noticeable because the mind would be absorbed into the theme of meditation with this joyful interest. So that's how I think that when the joyful interest or the piti arises, then the body becomes tranquil. And when the body is tranquil, they feel bliss, which is called sukha. So that's a general happiness. This is also very much the happiness connected with the unity of the mind that can sometimes happen in meditation, and the happiness that's associated with equanimity. So full unification of all the mental factors, and equanimity brings that kind of deep sukha. So this, I could qualify this as being a tranquil happiness to make us remember that it's not the same as sensual pleasure. And then when the mind is happy, when happy, the mind becomes immersed, which means the mind, the citta, enters into samadhi. So back in the Subha Sutta, where this sentence appears, it's right at the entrance to meditation. It shows the letting go of the hindrances, and then going through this sequence of gladness, joyful interest, tranquility of the body, happiness, and samadhi are entering the deep meditation. And then the remaining part of the sutta goes into the 4 jhanas, and from the jhanas it develops the how one goes about developing wisdom. So this set of factors is given as part of the gradual training. And the reason why this was sort of an eye-opener for me is because the most famous sutta that has that same list of factors is called the Upanishad Sutta. This is in the Samyutta Nikaya, chapter 12, 12.23. The Upanishad Sutta is very famous, and it shows dependent origination leading from ignorance through the downward spiral of dependent origination to the arising of the self, experiencing craving, clinging, becoming, birth, old age, sickness, and death. And then in the Upanishad Sutta, the bottom of the nadir of the lowest point of this descent into suffering, instead of mentioning death, they mention dukkha. And they're mentioning each one as a proximate cause. So each step is the proximate cause supporting the next step. That's just specifying the type of causation that's happening. So they're happening step by step by step in a sequence. And then from dukkha arises faith. And then that would be saddha. And this is faith in the Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha. And then from saddha comes gladness. From gladness comes the joyful interest, or the piti. And from the joyful interest comes tranquility of the body. And from tranquility of the body comes happiness. From happiness comes samadhi. So we see the same list, and it's in terms of causation. But the seeing something as causation is one thing. It's sort of like, a natural factor. But to see it as part of the gradual training is a different way of looking at it. And so this is what I want to bring out for you, is to look at this sequence of states, I could say states of mind, and see how, if you examine the effort you're making to follow the Buddha's gradual training, if you find some states to be, some parts of the training to be difficult to do, difficult to get from step A to step B, or from step F to step G in the gradual training, that this sequence can be helpful in illuminating the gradual training. So now I'm going to come to the main sutta that I wanted to speak about today, which is called the Cetanākaraṇīyasutta. Bhante Sujata translates as making a wish. So Cetana is another word for an intention or a volition. So before you do something, you decide to do it. It would be rehearsed in your mind before you do it. So that's the forming of the Cetana. The Cetana is a kamma, meaning that the things that you do intentionally are the things that will have a karmic result in terms of your future happiness or your future suffering. So these are the Cetanas that should be done. So this one starts, it says, an ethical person who has fulfilled ethical conduct need not make a wish. May I have no regrets. It's only natural that an ethical person has no regrets. When you have no regrets, you do not need to make a wish. May I feel gladness. It's only natural that gladness springs up when you have no regrets. So this is a kind of a summary of the whole ethical part of the gradual training. And I think it sheds a kind of a special light on the ethics. So how can you tell whether your behavior is ethical or not ethical? Who knows the answer? So here's somebody who, Chintana writes, can we reach samadhi if we haven't reached sila? No, that's just what this is saying. You got to get your sila down first. I used to love doing this back in the day. This was many years ago. They had a lot of meditators that were, their first encounter with Buddhism was they'd go to a meditation class and they would learn mindfulness. That'd be the first lesson of Buddhism. And then they may feel frustrated after a while because they're not able to overcome the 5 hindrances, and they just go week in and week out practicing meditation and struggling with the hindrances. And so the reason is that training didn't start at the beginning. The training needed to start with the basic right view and ethics, as that's the starting point. So when I say, if you want to meditate, here's how to meditate. First, take care of your ethics. Straighten up your ethics. If you're involved in something that's wrong, get out of it. And that will set the ground for being able to be successful in meditation. One aspect of how can you tell if it's ethical or not? In the Eightfold Noble Path, there is the second point of the Eightfold Noble Path is Samma Sankappa, which is sometimes translated as right thought, sometimes translated as right intention, and that is the thought of generosity or the thought of renunciation. That's the first point. And then the second point is the thought of non-ill will. And the third point is the thought of non-harming. And so that renunciation is not to be renounce selfishness and greed. So one way to know is if you would let go of your greed and let go of your selfishness, if you would let go of your hatred and become dedicated to not harming yourself and not harming anybody, then that would naturally lead to perfect ethical behavior in terms of keeping the precepts. So then the actual spelling out in detail of what the precepts are becomes a kind of a mental shortcut to help you remember that, let's say, harsh speech, for example, hurts you and hurts others. So don't do harsh speech. killing, you might have to do like a complicated philosophy investigation, saying, here's this a mosquito, and they're barely sentient, so they won't really feel very much if their life is squashed. But I'm extremely sentient, and I can really feel the aggravation of getting a mosquito bite. So is my high level, big consciousness irritation of the mosquito worth more or less than the life of that mosquito? So you might have to ponder all that. But if you have undertaken the precepts and you say, I don't kill, then you don't need to think about it. You just know on the instant, I don't kill. But where that comes from, it comes from the First Noble Truth. But then there's another part of ethics that's brought out by the sentence that I just read you from the sutta, which is having no regrets and making the mind glad. One way of examining one's own conscience is I would reflect, would my wise companions criticize my behavior or not? That's a reflection to be done. And then another reflection is, would I criticize my own behavior or not? And that's a reflection to be done. And so there is a kind of a social aspect of that ethical behavior is pleasing to others. It's pleasing to our human companions, and it's pleasing to the angels and devas. It's pleasing to the animals. Everybody loves to feel safe, that they're not going to be harmed. And so then part of the way that this regret thing comes about is when the behavior is not skillful, when it is harmful and hurtful, then other people are displeased, and then they may punish you, or they may dislike you, or they may criticize you. And so then that can bring about a feeling of regret. So in that sense, this is very practical. It's very normal. But even more than that, if you don't know what your ethics are, then you would be continuously nervous, trying to avoid criticism. But if you don't really understand where the criticism is coming from, and you're just trying to guess and just trying to stay out of trouble, then a person will be constantly fearful and nervous and just trying to not be noticed because they don't really understand the rules of the game. And that's a very vulnerable position. That's not really what proper ethics is about. Proper ethics are that you have done the thought, it has evolved from these right intentions, and you have reflected inwardly, and you've developed your own internal compass that you know what's right and wrong, the difference between right and wrong. And then when people criticize you, you may examine if it's true. Oh, I made a mistake. I was not being careful. I did something unskillful, and you would know for yourself whether it's skillful or not skillful, and then you would appreciate that kind of justified criticism. But if they criticize you and it doesn't really match up with your ethics, you don't need to worry about it. So in that way, you could take the fear factor, goes away from ethics, and the shame factor and the punishment factor, all of those things become not really part of the ethic. the ethic is for your own gladness, to make the mind glad, to make the mind free from regret. And so I think this is a second really important way of evaluating our own ethical behavior, like where is it taking us? What is it leading to? If it's leading to this non-regret and this gladness, then we can say we're on the right track. This is the kind of ethic we want to pursue. So ethics is not just a pile of rules and regulations. It's coming from a cause, which is the beautiful right intention of generosity, non-ill will, and non-harming. And it's leading to joy, leading to gladness of the mind. Then this next set, which is the part I just read you before, this the first half of this group of factors, are the factors that are leading from ethics, leading up to samadhi, leading up to jhana. Now, I know that a lot of people have tried for a long time to obtain jhana, but they haven't had the opportunity or the conditions to do so. And they may sometimes feel some kind of frustration if they feel that the instructions in the sutta are not very clear about how to get into jhana. Even the instructions, the how-to about getting into jhana can be a point of controversy. Different contemporary teachers have different descriptions about the methodology for that, whether it's based on the commentaries, based on the Visuddhimagga, or based on the suttas. But in general, the suttas are not that much focusing on procedures and techniques. Instead, what the suttas usually say about jhana is one abandons the hindrances, enters into jhana, and then jhana has the characteristic. The first jhana is having applied thought and sustained thought. You're connected with the object of the theme of meditation, and you are free from sensual desire, free from unwholesome states of mind, and the piti, or this joyful interest, arises because of that freedom from the negative states. And so then with that, you're launched into jhana. Nevertheless, if you still find it difficult to visualize, while you're doing your vipassana meditation, while you're meditating on the in-breath and out-breath, while you're contemplating the body, the feeling or vedana, the states of mind or the citta, the Dhamma factors in the Satipatthana, while you're doing that kind of meditation, while the mind may not yet be fully settled in samadhi, different kinds of distractions are coming up, but you're watching, you're looking inwardly, you're becoming more and more skillful in being able to discern like what's actually going on inside as to the body, the feelings, and the states of mind, especially those. Then you might notice for a while that you get a taste of these factors, this joyful interest, this tranquility of the body, this peaceful happiness. And whenever you get a taste of those moods or those states of mind in meditation, you should recognize them. Okay, these are the factors for fully entering into samadhi. And so then, if you're being very methodical in your meditation, you may be able to notice what was going on in my practice when those states arose for me. And is it possible to do the same thing again and get the same states to arise again? Is it possible for those states or those states of mind to become more sustained and more continuous? And then, so this is, to me, it's kind of like easier than some other instructions for coming to samadhi, because it's so natural and so intuitive. Just know how to gladden the mind. Find your joyful interest. Let the body become tranquil. Experience that happiness. And then just keep doing that. And then you don't need to make a wish. May my mind be immersed in samadhi. It's only natural for the mind to be immersed in samadhi when you feel bliss. The next part of this sequence is the part which is in the realm of wisdom. And this again is something that a lot of students who are striving on the path can fall into a kind of a danger when they're trying to develop wisdom, because they can get lost in the concepts and being like intellectual about it. And that may not be helping them to move in a way that's more like experiential, to directly know the phenomena, the knowing of which is what wisdom is. So, or else in some of the suttas, they say, emerging from samadhi, this is given as the Buddha's teaching, one practices the four jhanas, and then one practices the four immaterial attainments. Then they practice the meditation, which is the cessation of perception and feeling, which is maybe very far beyond what you have a hope to be able to practice personally. And then the sutta says, then he realizes the destruction of the taints and becomes a fully enlightened arahant. And it's sort of like, I need a little more of a ladder than that. I can't just say, practice samadhi, then come out of that, give up the taints and become an arahant. That's too much of a leap. So this gives you, this section of the sutta I'm reading you now, gives you something that's very intuitive and natural, that you can see how this can actually come about. And you probably have already had a taste. So if you've become immersed in samadhi, you don't need to wish, may I truly know and see. May I see what's going on for me, the phenomena that I'm experiencing, as they have become. This yatha bhutam jnana dasana, knowing and seeing like it is. But this like it is, because it's using the word bhuta instead of using the word atti, it's referring to seeing reality in the flow of causation, in the flow of constantly changing impermanence, and not seeing like a fixed essence or a fixed self or something like that. Understanding, like, here's this moment right now. Here I am, I'm here with you right now. And I can see you, or at least I can see there's a very small white light in the camera. And I take that is a symbol of the people who are watching. And there have been millions of causes and conditions over countless period of time that resulted in the evolution that comes to this particular moment that we happen to be together in this room, sharing this Dhamma and having whatever kind of understanding about it that we have. And everything, like you can experience the perfection of this moment as being like the perfect manifestation of all the previous causes and conditions. And so even if I'm suffering with restlessness or pain or something like that, even that is the perfect manifestation of the culmination of all the causes and conditions that led to that particular state. And so recognizing it, whatever the state is that's happening right now, recognizing that exactly as it is, as it came to be that way, because of causes and conditions. That's the Yatha Bhuta Jnana Dasana. That's how I understand it. And especially if we're still here in samsara and we're not yet fully enlightened arhats, then we will be also experiencing the dukkha of being the type of being who gets born, ages, and dies. We'll be seeing accurately what it is to be on the round of rebirth and samsara. And then it says, in the sutra, it says, when you truly know and see, you do not need to make a wish. May I become disillusioned and dispassionate. It's only natural to become disillusioned and dispassionate when you truly see. So when you really see the moment with both, okay, it's the perfect manifestation of all of the causes that led up to it, but it's also the imperfect, filled with dukkha, unreliable, fading, falling apart, undependable, nothing that can be grasped onto because it's part of samsara. And so you also see that, that's part of your Jnana-dasana. You see that, you see everything as it came to be and as it's falling apart, continuously falling apart. You see that. And then this, what is translated as disillusion, this nibbidami, nibbida is sometimes translated as disenchanted, or even used to be translated as revulsion. So the thing that you always thought, if I could just get a hold of that, then I would be happy. And the whole pattern of the mind thinking, I can just get the next thing, then I'm going to be happy. That becomes so disappointing. And you just don't want to be involved with that anymore. That's your disillusioned. There's so much that we got because we are human beings. We got the karma to get born as a human being, and there's a certain package of psychological tendencies and emotional tendencies that we have as humans. And when we're disillusioned, we no longer want to stand up on our soapbox and say, my ideals, my theory of the world, what I fabricated, my beliefs, this is true, this is always true, everything else is wrong. That, just because it's been concocted within this brain doesn't mean that it's true. And you say, okay, it's just what the brain is doing. The brain is making stories. The brain is creating patterns. The brain is making all these distinctions, but you become like modest about that, and know, well, it could be, if I have, to the extent I have right view, that the use of the mind is helpfully pointing towards the truth. It might or it might not, but you've got that kind of like that modesty. You're not sure. So that's the disillusionment, and then there's other one called dispassionate, the viraga. So raga is a kind of passion, desire, especially pointing to sensual desire, but even other kinds of emotional desires. If you want to be famous, or you want to be powerful, or you've got other kinds of strong drives and so forth, that those can begin to become less dominating. You're no longer a puppet controlled by your passions and your emotions. And then those drives can settle down and become more moderate, more neutral, and then you sort of are more and more able to try to make wise choices, whether to follow your emotions or not. That's the dispassion. And when you've really got that, when you're disillusioned and dispassionate, you need not make a wish. May I realize the knowledge and vision of freedom. So, in this case, the knowledge and vision of freedom is the shorthand for enlightenment. Enlightenment can be described as having broken the taint of sensual craving, broken the taint of the desire for existence, or the desire, could be a desire for heavenly rebirth, or just even the desire to continue your existence, having broken the taint of delusion, having broken that ignorance, having broken those three. Sometimes it's described in terms of having a perfect, direct knowledge of the Four Noble Truths, that you can see what dukkha is, you can really see how it is, how pervasive it is, what it is. You can really immediately, intuitively, directly know how craving and grasping is the cause of dukkha, and grasping is what perpetuates that dukkha. And you can truly and directly see there is a cessation of dukkha, which is when that craving is gone and when that grasping is gone. So the way that an arhat is able to fully see it is their craving and their grasping is completely gone. But the way that somebody who's not yet an arhat can see it is some of their craving is gone. And the dukkha connected with that amount of the craving which is gone can be experienced as a tremendous freedom, a tremendous release. So if someone were addicted to some activity or a substance, and if they get sober and over some period of time and make an effort, then actually the craving for that addiction is really gone, and they know they're free, that they're not going to be pulled in that wave during this lifetime. And many other negative patterns of thought can become rather deeply settled in, and like fixed habits, especially if, depending on what your kind of society you're in, if you don't know that you're hurting yourself with these bad habits, then they can get more and more ingrained and deeply into one's psychology. But then, nevertheless, it still is possible to change. And so some of those habits, things that you learned in your childhood, things that came from your culture, that are, if they're not serving you, you can make this fantastic discovery. If it's not serving me, I don't have to keep it. If this way of thinking is poison, I don't have to keep it. I don't have to. I'm able to just let it out, let it go. And knowing that you have that choice. And then even if there's still, this whole gradual training could be a path of the thing that you need to let go of is more and more deeply fixed, deep in our psychological makeup, and can be something that's like very subtle. So it could be that we're like all the time we're really good, we're happy, we're cheerful, we're contented, we're calm, we're nice, and so forth like that. But then there's this self-conceit that it's difficult to even see it. But because of practicing meditation and samadhi, we are eventually able to see that, and whatever we become able to see it, as soon as we can see it, then we can let it go. And it may be that more and more will be revealed as deeply buried habits of the mind. As soon as you see them, let them go. So that's that process of realizing that freedom. It's only natural to realize the knowledge and vision of freedom when you're disillusioned and dispassionate. So if you've got the courage to look and see at the phenomenon that you experience exactly as it is, without any blinders or any blinkers, without making excuses, without trying to justify anything, then you have that chance to realize that freedom. And so that will be a list of states of mind that are described in a way which to me is a very intuitive feeling kind of thing that helps you to not get too intellectual or too dogmatic with yourself about thinking, I've got to climb this path and I've got to get my ticket punched, for all the different things. There's, many lists in Buddhism. There's, at a minimum, there's the Wings to Awakening has 37 factors that are related to enlightenment. And so instead of trying to, keep all 37 of them going at the same time. This is a very, very helpful list to see how it works and to measure your progress and to know where you're at. So, mendicants, the knowledge and vision of freedom is the purpose and benefit of disillusionment and dispassion. If you got that nibbida and you became in a certain way like kind of disgusted with how the mind works in samsara, and said, "Oh, I'm so tired of this. I'm so tired of this." So, but that could be like kind of like a negative thing, couldn't it? But then, if you realize, like, what's this for? What's this leading to? This is leading me to freedom. See, so when you see what it's leading to, when you know what it's for, then it gives you the courage to go on. Disillusionment and dispassion is the purpose and benefit of truly knowing and seeing. Truly knowing, seeing is the purpose and benefit of samadhi or meditation. Samadhi is the purpose and benefit of happiness. So if someone is practicing sila and generosity and all that up to the level of happiness, if they stop there, they kind of missed the boat. You can go that far and you can have a happy life. But if you don't know that there's so much more, so much better, so much greater that's possible, then you will use that happiness to give you the access point to be able to enter meditation. Happiness is the purpose and benefit of tranquility. Tranquility is the purpose and benefit of joyful interest. Joyful interest is the purpose and benefit of gladness. Gladness is the purpose and benefit of not having regrets. Not having regrets is the purpose and benefit of skillful ethics. And so, mendicants, good qualities flow on and fill up from one to the other, for going from the near shore to the far shore. Now I'll see what questions there are. Oh my goodness. So welcome, Brian, Jerry, Mary, Elaine, Chintana, Sud, Padma, Aidan. Special welcome to Santachari Bhikkhuni. I always am so honored when a fellow colleague joins the program. Nim Bhumika. Okay, so now I will see the questions. The first question, I just glanced at this earlier. Can we reach samadhi if we don't reach sila? No. You have to have sila in order to get samadhi. On the other hand, in a certain kind of way, teaching meditation to the people who are very weak in their sila can still be a good thing to do, because there's a kind of like a synergy. So like when I was first starting meditation many decades ago, I noticed that sometimes in my life, I would get involved in like a quarrels and disputes or something, and then it would be very difficult to meditate. So it wasn't that first stop quarreling first, so I'll be able to meditate. It was because seeing like this amazing potential of meditation, then I wanted to live my life in a way that I'll have better meditation. And so out of the desire for better meditation, I then started to become more like skillful in speech and so forth like that. And even, it's definitely to go to prison and talk to criminals who are, even if they're not actively criming while they're in jail, they could be filled with all kinds of unwholesome, bad sila tendencies. But if learning meditation just it can be good, help somebody to be able to break away from some negative habits in life. So it's okay to still meditate if the sila is not perfect. Sudas. Is it okay if we still meditate without perfecting sila? Would the active meditation eventually perfect sila? Yes, I think it would. Especially sila, bad sila depends on delusion. So while you're doing a crime, you're trying to not get caught. And one of the best ways to not get caught is to pretend that you're not doing it. So you're doing your bad behaviors and you're even keeping it a secret from yourself. But with meditation, you're in a way which is very honest and just looking within and seeing what's there and just acknowledging what's there. Even if what you find in there is terrible, you've got to be able to acknowledge it and see it. And so then when you see what's happening, if you see, oh, I really wanted to kill my roommate, so then just because that thought is in the mind doesn't mean that you're going to do it, but it also means that you can say, okay, now I know that thought existed, so I don't need to keep it anymore now that I see it. And then the other reason why meditation helps with sila is because of loving kindness. That when people are like experience themselves as being hated, being the object of hatred, I think that could result in all kind of really sick reactions of that a person may be bad because others see them as being bad, or they see themselves as being bad. They, because of having self-hatred or actually being hated by others, could actually trigger unskillful bad behavior. And so, but when you experience kindness, compassion, and forgiveness, then you don't need to continue that kind of compulsive behavior. And then you want to be good. So kindness and compassion, I think, is also really good at making it possible to straighten out bad habits of sila. Coming from Chintana, is it kind? Is it helpful? Yes, I think that's exactly what this entire process should be. And I actually find this whole teaching is one of the kindliest meditations that the Buddha ever taught, because it's so encouraging and so positive. There are other suttas in which the Blessed One sort of scolds and chastises students for having wrong view. He doesn't do it very often, but every once in a while he does. He says, "You fool! How could you think like that?" And you really are a fool when you do that. But the Buddha is typically kind, being kind and following what helps. Absolutely, I agree with that. Here's a comment. I'm unorganized and misplace things. I get frustrated and do not practice sila. It is automatic. I am not likely to get organized. Do you have other suggestions? I think this automatic is the key to the answer to the question. So as far as I know, this is not from a Buddhist teaching, but in general about behavior. When a person is learning to do something, they may discreetly see all of the different moments that are involved in that pattern. But then after they have learned it, they're able to do it automatically without consciously perceiving all the details. So I don't have to say Sada m u n on r g n I z d to sound out each letter in the word. I can just at a glance I can see I am unorganized, and so that's a way that, like with reading, it's done automatic. It's substantially, like 90% automatic. When you go walking, it's automatic. You don't have to think lifting, moving, placing. But with the special practices associated to mindfulness, we try to actually do things in a different way so that we are able to look in a fresh way and see as fully as possible the things that in the ordinary life are done automatic. So if somebody points in you and says, "Did you do that?" then you could have an automatic response, say, "No, I didn't do it," to deny, just because it was a habit. You got it when you were a little kid, and you never broke that habit. And if it becomes so habitual, then you do lots of unskillful things are done automatically without awareness. And so then adding a special step like the moment of mindfulness to pause and say, "What's happening here?" That's how you are able to avoid doing unskillful bad things automatically without being aware of what you're doing. So that step is called sati sampajana, and it's definitely part of the gradual training. And if you would try to frequently pause and see what's happening, what's my intention, is it the right situation, am I mindful, and to give yourself a break to realize this is an impersonal process of causation. And this, I got to this moment because of causes and conditions. And so then it could be like turning the tugboat. If you have a lot of bad habits, you can't necessarily turn a great large ocean liner on the dime, and immediately make it go left. Sometimes it takes time, but your mindfulness is like the little tugboat when the ocean liner is trying to get into port. I guess they turn off their engine and they let the little tugboat pull them into the port. And so your mindfulness or your wisdom may seem like this little small, weak little thing. There's this great large ocean liner of my karma and all my previous habits. And it's this teeny little tugboat. And how can the tugboat turn the great ocean liner? But they can. And not only that, they can get that ocean liner turned and get it into the harbor. And when it comes into the harbor, that's like reaching safety. So just, kind of like relax, calm down, slow down, and give mindfulness a chance. And but also don't blame yourself too much if you've got habits because of previous causes and conditions and cultural background and so forth. This is from Sud. Does metta meditation do two things at once? Work on sila and hence easy to attain samadhi due to this? How far in samadhi can one go with loving kindness meditation alone? The loving kindness meditation can definitely work to dispel aversion. Is especially powerful in dispelling aversion, anger, and hatred. And so all of the problems of sila that are arising because of hatred can be very much cured and dispelled by the loving kindness. There is a second category of bad sila, and that is the bad sila which is based on greed and sensual desire. And for that meditation, I think that the sila might not be so powerful, and overcoming the problems related to greed or sensual desire, but instead practicing the contentment, making that a practice to accept whatever comes, like whatever alms food is put in the bowl, I'm happy with it, whether no matter what it is. If somebody else has a different opinion, I'm content with that. I'm not dissatisfied, and then making the effort of meditation itself is a huge, powerful way of overcoming sensual desire. Just because you've made a vow to sit on a cushion for 30 minutes or whatever period of time, without jumping up to get whatever you want, without moving and wiggling the body every time it's a little bit uncomfortable, without laying down and taking a nap whenever you get a little sleepy, and just to tolerate and be present for what's going on in the body, what's going on in the mind, and simply to watch and hold back and not do anything. Say, during this period of time, there's nothing to be done, no chores, no activities, no jobs to do. The only job is to be aware, to stay still and be aware, just watch. And, so many things can come to mind as, I need to write a letter. You don't just jump up and write the letter. You just notice, okay, here's the desire that came up. And you just notice it and stay still. But the metta meditation is great for those parts of sila that are related to hatred. And then one can enter jhana through practicing the Brahma Vihara meditations in terms of the boundless radiation of loving kindness in all directions. So if you're doing the kind of metta meditation where you're thinking, may my mother be well and happy, may my cat be well and happy, may my friends be well and happy, may the people in prison be well and happy, may the people who are ill be well and happy, may the people who are suffering be well and happy. That type of meditation is really good, but it doesn't lead to jhana. So the meditation, which is not focusing on many different specific people, but is just going in all directions. They say in the Visuddhimagga that metta takes you to the first jhana, and that's because metta meditation is based on the thought of loving kindness. And the first jhana has applied thought and sustained thought. But then with the second jhana and beyond that, the applied thought and sustained thought has dropped out. And so you wouldn't be actively practicing the thought of loving kindness while you're in the second to fourth jhana. You would be simply experiencing the states of mind with that jhana, but definitely one can come to first jhana through metta. My root teacher, Bhante Gunaratana, he used to have a 10-day retreat on jhana and a different 10-day retreat on metta. And if you listen very carefully to the recording of all his talks on those two retreats, they're almost the same. Because he really does teach metta for the purpose of jhana. And he teaches jhana by way of metta. Here's a question. Is sila an expression of self-love as well as love for others? Yes. Self-love sounds like it means self-centered conceit. It doesn't mean that kind of self-love is not selfish love. Self-love is simply letting the loving kindness be inside and outside. So it pervades internally, it pervades externally, and it pervades both. And it includes the whole universe, including one's own self. At the highest level, I think that metta meditation will not be preferentially wishing for one's own happiness, more so, or metta doesn't wish for one's own happiness first and foremost, and then to a lesser degree, wishing for the happiness for all other beings. I think that's kind of like the normal attitude that you think self-love is that you put yourself very much in the first in line for all good things, and then others can get what's left over. But when we realize anatta, realize that teaching, one would not be preferring oneself over others. You would not even be making that distinction. Like my happiness and the happiness of all beings are not two different things. It's just one thing. It's just the thought of kindness. But in this day and age, we see a lot of self-hatred and a lot of self-destructive behavior by a lot of people in the world. And we definitely should not teach metta in a way that thinks that you should harm yourself in order to be for the benefit of another. Think of the metaphor of the acrobats. One is holding the stick and the other one is up at the top of the pole, doing a balancing act or dancing. And the one at the bottom says, "Don't worry, dear, I will protect you." And she looks down and says, "Why don't you protect yourself and I'll protect myself. And by protecting yourself, you protect me." So if you can't protect and care for yourself, you won't be that much good for others. That brings our questions to a conclusion. And so we'll bring this meeting to a close. We can all join in giving sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.